The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan of themorganreport.com for the weekly perspective for the week ending 3 September 2021. Well, I'm on the blog page, as you know. Just go to themorganreport.com and hit the blog or / type in blog, and here you go. Had an interview with Max and Stacy recently. Always fun to be on Max's show, and of course, some of the more recent ones. This one I did with Daniela Cambone with Stansberry's, I think, hit a pretty big record for me as far as the amount of views. I think last time I looked it was up to like 175,000. Talking about what I'd already done on the Greg Hunter show, which was very recent as well, talking about physical cash stops digital theft. A lot of effort actually went into that interview, and it's kind of a revamp with Daniela. Suggest you listen to those, talking about the ownership theory of money, which these days is something you might consider, especially with the bail-in provision still on the books. Since it is Friday and it is the 3rd and the market's still open for another hour and a half, I thought I would point out gleefully that everything is up in the precious metals. This is from Kitco. It's a 20-minute delay. Gold's up about $20. Silver's almost up $1. It's up 80 cents, 80% of a dollar. And it's leading the pack today. It's up 3.4%. And this is very bullish. Whenever I see that silver is outperforming gold on a daily basis at a 3-to-1 ratio. So if gold's up 1% and silver's up 3 times as much, which would be 3%, that's one of the cues that I use as confirmation, and it's confirmation of what I'm writing in this month's Morgan Report. I'm going to make this weekly perspective a bit different. I have been getting a lot of input from the interview that was done by Lobo Tigre, and a shout out to him. Great guy, great thinker. You that do not know was a key to Casey research for years and years. I'll let it go at that without going into more detail. And he did this interview with David Lynn on Kitco, as you can see. And silver is losing its quote-unquote monetary crown, says Lobo Tigre, and here's why. Honestly, have not had time to listen to this interview because I am buried in writing the Morgan Report for our premium or paid membership. And we're doing quite a lot this month, particularly. Every month is full of my energy and the team. But in this month, we're also updating 3 companies. We're looking at the carbon credit situation. We have a couple silver situations that most don't know about. One is going to be a recommendation. It is one that David Smith and I put our feet on the ground and actually, walked the property, next mine. And it's got an affiliation with the biggest mining conglomerates in the world. So with those 2 pieces of information, those who know how to research probably already can find it on their own. Regardless, I want to come back to this. Silver is losing its monetary crown. So this whole idea, is silver money or is it money? Now, I've been through this debate many, many times. The more recent one, I think, was a couple of years ago with one of the up-and-comers in the space. He did a great job. And there's really no real dispute from my perspective, and this is my weekly perspective. Silver and gold are money legally. Listen to the word legally. What does that mean? It means there are legal tender laws on the books of the United States. So I'm speaking specifically for U.S. right now. I'm not speaking globally. It is legal to take a $50 gold eagle into Walmart, Sears and Roebuck, your local theater, your grocery store, or your car wash, and spend it at the legal tender value of 50 equivalent Federal Reserve notes. It's actually against the law for that car wash, that grocery store, that theater to not take it. Of course, most of them have never even seen one. They wouldn't know what to do. Anyone that had any brains or common sense or critical thinking would gladly scoop it up and make the exchange. So lawfully, the U.S. minted gold and silver are money. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Lobo. I don't care if it's who it is. I've had this argument many times, but, I'll take them till, we go into court and have it settled if you wish. I don't think that's necessary. Now, the real question that people are asking isn't, is it legal money or isn't it? Because it is. That's such a small subset of the bigger picture. Is it economically money? That's a different frame of reference. What does that mean? It means, can we go about our daily lives and spend gold and or silver at the current day price? And I just showed you, I'll go back here a second. I'll look at what today's price is with gold and silver. So could I go in and expect to get $25 worth of Federal Reserve note gasoline at the gas station by plunking down a 1 ounce round? And the answer is no. They wouldn't have any idea of the current daily value. They wouldn't know anything to do with it. So is it money in that sense? Of course not. And neither is gold for that matter. So I think it's that silver's been demonetized officially in 1873. It came back into the monetary system. We know, most of you know, if you listen to me at all or others, that we had silver coinage up through 1964 from 65 on. No. But you could still take that silver dime and spend it probably at the grocery store and no one would be the wiser because it looks just similar enough to current slug that you could spend, quarters, dimes, even $50 that are 90% silver and probably just push them through the system without anybody being the wiser. Of course, you're losing a great deal of value because they are worth much more than what the face value says, but that would prove the point that they are spendball's money, and there's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing like, oh my God, you gave us a silver dime, you're going to be arrested. No, they'd have to take it, and they would take it at face value, and of course someone that was savvy enough would take that, put it in their pocket because it's worth about 3 Federal Reserve notes, and put a slug in its place, and no one's really the wiser, and the person that did that is just profited by about a 30-fold increase in terms of Federal Reserve notes. So I want to go on with this idea a little bit more, and that is not to get too wrapped around emotionally with whether silver's money or isn't money, if gold is money or isn't money, if only gold is money and silver isn't money, and all these vectors that we could take and discuss and worry about. Let's try to be as objective as possible, and of course that's difficult for yours truly, but let's look at palladium as an example. Now, palladium is an element, and it's used in catalytic converters, and it's highly demanded, and it's been running around the $2,500 level in US dollar terms for a long time. And it really has basically one demand, and that one demand is, again, catalytic converters. Yes, there is some investment demand. In fact, I made a great call on palladium. At the beginning, I got out a little early. I've actually found I hadn't sold all of mine, and I did cash out recently the other half of it at around the $2,500 level. I don't think it's got a much more upside. It probably does have some, but not as much as I think, say, silver does. So actually what I did was sold the palladium and moved in the silver market. But regardless of what I did, the point is palladium never stops to ask, what kind of investment demand do I have, or what kind of industrial demand do I have? All it cares about is demand. And it's the same thing with silver. I mean, if you thought of silver as 100% industrial, never even been money in the past, which of course it has a much bigger history as money than gold, but regardless, it doesn't care or matter at this point. Silver can't think, neither can palladium. The idea is that demand drives the market. Now, the demand on silver, industry-wise, is not sufficient enough to drive it to a high level like palladium. Is that coming in the future? Probably not. So there will be an investment demand required for silver to probably reach the heights that it's going to go to. But it doesn't have to be very much. And anyone that invested palladium didn't really care whether it was money or not money. They knew, or rhodium for that matter, or iridium, or any of these exotics, or rare earths, or anything in the resource sector. So I don't want people to be too hung up on the money aspect. Although, my argument is, even though it's, money in the past, legally money now, and I believe more likely to be money in the future, on the free market rather than on the official markets. And I'll bring that up in a moment here. But it's a debate you can get, quagmired in if you wish. I prefer to remain objective. The demand is the demand, and the demand industrial-wise is going from about 50% of the market to roughly 80% of the market in the next decade. And then on top of that, we've had the largest investment demand ever recorded last year, where the institutional demand was about 320 million ounces, and the retail demand was about 200 million ounces for about 520 or so million ounces of silver on the investment side, money or not money, investment. And that is on track to be similar this year. I don't think it'll be as high, but it'll be higher than many other previous years. And there's a big arb going on in the silver market because it's very behooves any minter to take silver at the commercial bar price and refabricate it into retail products because the margins are so lucrative, and that will continue until they aren't. And even at the point that they're not lucrative as they are now, they will still remain enough of a spread that the retail market will continue to move forward. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. This is something I wrote for the Global Investor Book of Investing Rules, probably almost 2 decades ago, 10 Rules for Silver Investing. And in that book, number 1 rule, when all else fails, there is silver. No one likes to be a prophet of doom, but the simple truth is that silver is the world's money of last resort. I did say money. I'm not taking it back either. So, should a severe economic collapse occur, leaving paper assets worthless, silver will be the primary currency for the purchase of goods and services. Gold will be a store of major wealth, but will be priced too high for day-to-day use. So let me stop there for a moment, because Martin Armstrong just put out a piece recently, and one of my members brought it to my attention, that he didn't think gold would be reinstituted as money officially. It'd probably be on the free market or black market and traded on a barter basis. I would say between the two, what I wrote here is the first rule of silver investing is more likely the case. Not that gold couldn't be used as barter, obviously. The point is that silver is more likely to be used for day-to-day use. And so going on, the last sentence, thus every investor should own some physical silver and store a portion of it where it's accessible in an emergency. And of course, that's the worst case scenario, where silver is used on a barter basis. And believe me, if things got that bad, people would understand the value of silver literally overnight. Okay, so let's wrap this up, and you can stop here. This is a little shameless promotion, so you can log in. There you are. This is the Mastermind, which is the top service. You can see that. All the updates. A lot of the stuff is done by video. And all the stuff we've done with company interviews, all that. Of course, these special reports on the companies we follow, some of the bonus material, and everything else. So we will be publishing again soon, and it will be this weekend. As I said, we do have a couple of silver companies that are featuring. Of course, our uranium stocks are killing it. So we've been pretty high on uranium, gold, and silver, as you know. And some of the cryptos are performing as well. I'm not a big crypto guy, but the market speaks loudly enough I listen. So there's that. I'll be back with you next week. Remember, there's nothing more powerful than the truth, and it seems to be harder and harder to obtain it these days with the amount of censorship and lack of free speech. But I will continue on. Have a great weekend if you're in the US of A. Happy Labor Day. The old adage, sell in May, come back after Labor Day, certainly seems to be applied here to the precious metals. As we can see, pretty nice jumps today, and I think we're going to see up, and away to the end of the year. Obviously, all markets move up and down, and silver and gold will go up and down and back and fill, but I do think we will be above $30 by the end of the year 2021 for the silver market. This is David Morgan, themorganreport.com.